So if you're in any kind of business, you know the feeling, right? You are just drowning in data. Spreadsheets, reports, dashboards, it's this constant flood of numbers and noise. But what if there was a way to instantly turn all that chaos into real clarity? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into, using one surprisingly simple yet powerful tool, the histogram. This quote right here just nails it. A giant pile of numbers all by itself is pretty much meaningless. It's just clutter. To make any kind of smart decision, you have to process it first. You've got to give that raw data some kind of shape, some kind of structure. So the big question is, how do you actually do that? How do you pull a clear, understandable story out of all that noise? Turns out there's a simple and incredibly powerful toolkit that was designed for exactly this reason. Let's break down how it works. All right, here's the game plan. We're going to start with the main problem everyone faces with raw data. Then we'll introduce a fantastic toolkit for quality and zoom right in on our star of the show, the histogram. We'll cover what it is, why you should care, and finally, the really cool part, how to actually read the stories your data is trying to tell you. Okay, first stop, the problem with data. Because let's be honest, the real challenge isn't just collecting the data, it's figuring out what on earth to do with it once you've got it. I mean, just think about it for a second. A factory, a call center, a hospital, they're all cranking out thousands, maybe millions of data points every single day. Without some way to summarize and actually see that information, it's totally useless. You can't spot a trend, you can't fix a problem, you can't improve a single thing. But the good news is this isn't some new unsolvable problem. Way back in post-war Japan, a professor named Kaoru Ishikawa developed a framework to tackle this exact issue. And this is what's so brilliant about it. These weren't tools for PhD statisticians or data scientists. Nope, they were made for the folks on the factory floor, for people with little to no formal training in statistics. The whole idea was to empower everyone in the organization to solve quality problems using simple visual methods. And here they are, the Super 7, if you will. You've got tools for finding root causes, for tracking changes over time, and sitting right there, smack in the middle of it all, is our main focus, the histogram. It's an absolute cornerstone of this whole approach to improving quality. Okay, so let's get to the main event. What exactly is a histogram? How does it pull off this magic trick of turning chaos into clarity? Let's break it down. To put it really simply, a histogram just shows you how often something happens. It takes your big, long list of numbers, sorts them into different groups or bins, and then just shows you how many numbers fell into each of those bins. In a flash, you can see the whole distribution of your data, where the middle is, how spread out things are, and what the overall shape looks like. Okay, let's look at a real-world example to make this stick. Here we have a table showing the number of accounting errors made each day. It's just a sea of numbers, isn't it? If I ask you to tell me what a typical day looks like just from this, you'd be guessing. It's pretty much impossible. Okay, so let's try to make some sense of this. Step 1, a tally sheet. We're just counting up how many days had 0 errors, how many had 1, how many had 2, and so on. Now this is definitely better. We're starting to bring some order to the chaos. But it still doesn't give you that instant aha moment, does it? And then boom, there it is, the histogram. Instantly, the whole story just becomes crystal clear. You can see the tallest bars are over at 0 and 1. That tells you that most days have very few errors. And then the bars get shorter and shorter as you go to the right, showing that a day with a lot of errors is really, really rare. The entire story just leaps off the page. That is the power of this tool. Okay, so it makes a pretty chart. Big deal, right? Well, it's way more than that. Why should you actually use a histogram? Because it's not just about taking a snapshot of your data. It's about finding a path to a solution. This thing is like the Swiss Army knife of data visualization. It helps you track down the root cause of a problem, figure out if your process can even do what you need it to do, understand the shape and spread of your data, spot changes over time, and, like we just saw, it helps you communicate really complex information in a super simple way. And this is probably the most important thing to get. A histogram isn't just a picture, it's a diagnostic tool. The shape of that graph, how wide it is, where it's centered, all of these are vital clues that can point you directly to the source of a problem in your process. And for any business, this is massive. You can use a histogram to answer a really fundamental question. Is our process actually capable of meeting our customers' needs? By comparing the spread of your data to what's required, you can see in an instant if you're set up for success or for failure. All right, now this is where it gets really cool, because the shape of a histogram isn't just random. It's a message. It's your process talking to you. You just have to learn its language. I want you to think of it exactly like a photograph. A photo captures a single moment in time, right? Well, a histogram captures a snapshot of your process's variation at a particular time. And just like you can read stories and emotions in a person's face in a photo, you can read the health and behavior of your process from the shape of its histogram. So, for example, what if you get a shape like this? You see that? It looks kind of like a camel's back. It's got two peaks. That is a massive clue. Your data is practically screaming at you that you're not looking at one single process, but two different ones that have been mixed together. Maybe it's data from two different machines, or maybe it's the day shift versus the night shift. Whatever it is, that double peak tells you exactly where you need to start digging. So at the end of the day, that's really what this is all about. Every single set of data has a story buried inside it. A story about performance, about problems, about opportunities for getting better. A histogram doesn't create that story, it just makes it visible for you. So the only question left is, can you see it?